From Nashville's WSM Radio, the original home of the Grand Ole Opry, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast.
Hey, it's Charlie Matos, and in this episode of our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast, we sit down with Michael and Tanya Trotter, the War and Treaty. They were playing the Grand Ole Opry Salute to the Troops night on Tuesday, May the 23rd. They stopped in before that show to visit with us, and we would talk about so many great things. Obviously, Opry memories, first time they ever heard themselves on the radio, and how many incarnations of the name they had before they settled on the War and Treaty. It's a really fun chat. I hope you enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast.
Either one of you can answer. Michael and Tanya, welcome. The Trotters.
Good morning.
They changed their name to the War and Treaty in 2017 after fighting about changing their name for the fifth time. During the argument, Tanya yells out, and I quote, "This isn't war, Michael. So let's come to some sort of treaty here." End quote.
That is true, but he changed the band name 7 times.
Right down the list.
7 times.
Can we hear the old band names?
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
All right.
Dear Martha was one,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and then one was called
Empty Earth.
Empty Earth.
Mm-hmm. Then we were a law firm, Trotter and Blunt.
And then we were 9 years apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. They were pretty weird names.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not. What was it?
I'm not your
Ain't
sister.
your sister?
I ain't your sister.
Ain't your sister?
That was for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had.
this is like that great Tom Hanks movie, That Thing You Do, with
That
the
thing-
Wonders, but
oh,
O-N-E,
man.
the O-Neaters.
The O-Neaters. The O-Neaters. One of my favorite movies, man. Gosh.
And then it was Trotter and Blunt. Is that right?
Yeah.
Your maiden name?
Yeah.
It sounds like Trotter, Blunt, Stein, and
Yeah.
Markham or something.
Yeah.
Trotter, Blunt, and
Yes.
Winnard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Rabinowitz is Archie Bunker. Remember Rabinowitz, and Rabinowitz.
Well, you know, to me, the magical part of that movie, That Thing You Do, is when they hear their song on the radio for the first time,
Yeah.
and like they're mailing the envelope and they're screaming. When was the first time you ever heard yourselves on the radio?
We were in the car.
Oh, yeah.
In Florida, and Michael was fighting me the whole way. He never wanted to release any music. He only wanted to write songs for the troops. And I sent the tweet out to a radio station in Detroit, and she happened to send it out to a station in Tampa, Florida, WMNF.
You sent it to Tampa as well.
Tampa as well.
Yeah, you sent it to multiple stations.
Yes, Randy went. I remember that now. And they ended up playing it as we were going to perform at a coffee shop. It was like
this story
30
is very.
people.
This story is not all the way there yet.
Yeah,
Tanya,
I'm warming it up.
We were arguing about going to Tampa with no money to perform for like 3 people.
Yeah,
and I was just like, this. I don't think this is how it's done, Tanya. I think we were living in Maryland at the time, so we drove all this way, and
booked
only
the tour.
3 tickets were sold. Like literally 3
You're gonna
tickets.
Go perform as 3 people. You're going.
And I'm like, I'm just like telling Tanya, I said, I'm ready to give up. We need some sort of sign that what we're doing is worth it. And right when I said it, we hear one of our songs called Hi Ho.
Yeah.
Like, and Tanya's like, here's your sign, fool. And she turns it up. And I'm like,
He's like, how'd it get down here? I was like, I don't know.
so we went in there and performed for those 3 people like there were 30,000. We just had a ball that night. But yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that's the first time you hear yourself
That's the
on
first
the radio.
time. Yep.
What's significant about April 2nd, 2019?
What is it?
that was our Opry debut.
Yes, it was.
You didn't know you were going to have so many questions off the bat.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, he's ready.
I am ready.
He's been waiting for this moment.
Go.
That one right there, and I just, I remember getting the parking sign, the reserve
Yeah, we
sign.
still have it on our.
Yeah.
Well, we tore our book.
Well, we got 2. We got two of those signs.
Yeah.
I only want. Yeah,
We were so excited. Still
I don't
are.
remember what we did or anything. I just remember I was just like this the whole time, and my mom came and we were
where does she live?
Well, now she lives in here.
Oh, okay.
With us,
And we moved the
But she
family.
came from from Maryland.
Yeah.
Then. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, she famously joined you on stage one night when I was hosting the Opry. That was really cool. Yeah.
She's amazing. She's an incredible singer. Incredible singer.
We did Do Lord.
Yeah, we did.
Do you remember me?
Yeah.
Oh, do Lord. Oh, yeah.
And we had clogging.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly and I simultaneously broke into Deep and Wide the other day.
Oh, my
Remember that from your childhood?
VBS.
Deep and wide,
There's a fountain.
Yeah.
I learned that from Michael, the whole 7-day Adventist thing. It's not Adventist. Well, I grew up Baptist,
It's
so.
a Sunday school
That was
song.
a Sunday school song.
None of these made it into the Catholic Church.
No.
And I went to Catholic school until I was in the 5th grade.
Oh, really?
So
But
we
Charlie-
were like, I was doing Baptist songs. You know, they were like putting me out. You can't do that. I'm like, but I go to church on Sunday to Baptist church.
But Charlie said, if you need a song about Mary,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
You
your
come to
guy.
me. I'm your guy. Yeah, that's
Do
right.
that.
Mary, don't you weep.
So when did you decide country was going to be the vein? Because you're putting out this music and you were doing music for music's sake and the fact that you loved it. But when did it figure that country was going to be the basket that it fit best in?
That's interesting you asked that because we were talking about this the other day. We, of course, come from church backgrounds, so
Right.
gospel and God and our faith is a huge part of it. We like to drink on weekends, some wine every now and then, and then our faith is a huge part of it and fun. So country music and family. So country music is the one place you can drink, you can talk about God, and you can have fun, and the stories are all there. You
But I
know,
think
it's wonderful. So
stories
we
are
love
there.
it.
I also think that it decides for you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like the family of country music, we were first invited to do something back in 2018 where we inducted the Country Music Hall of Fame asked us to come and help induct just one of the queens, which is the late great Dottie West, into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and they asked us to sing "Lesson in Leaving." And Ty and I were like, we were terrified. First off,
Were you?
Oh, definitely, because you don't want to tamper with that song. That song is just perfect the way it is. But you also want to make sure you honor, because that's what you're there to do, honor her. And, I was like, well, you know what, Tanya, let's just be ourselves and just and see what we can bring to it. And then from that moment on, that's where we met all these relationships. We met Dirks that night. We met Chris Stapleton that night. We met the great Ricky Skaggs that night, who was also being inducted. We met old Garth. We met Garth that night, and Trisha, and then from there on, we just stayed really connected. The person who was responsible for us for that was the late Peter Cooper.
Oh,
and I still have his voice message saved on my phone.
Yeah.
And Peter and Ty and I, we developed this friendship, and Peter was just really just trying to explain to me how the lines are so blurred with music in general. I mean, we look at artists who have that appeal, like Lesson in Leaving. It's country, but it could have been a soul song. Ray Charles, a lot of people, say what a lot of people argue today, well, that wasn't country. But Ray's interpretation of what he was bringing to it was something from his heart that he always wanted to do. And I remember when we were deciding to walk this rope, we had a meeting in L.A. with one of the greatest producers of all time. His name is Jimmy Jam.
Oh.
And Jimmy Jam, they closed the restaurants down and everything. And Jimmy Jam was just sitting there, and we were talking, and Jimmy said, I have one regret in my career. And we were like, what's that? And he said, I wanted to produce with Terry, and we almost got there. We had a meeting and everything, and we were going to produce a country album on Barbara Mandrell.
Oh.
Like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Really?
Revolutionary.
But for whatever reason, her label at the time, she was ready, but her label at the time, they were not, they weren't favorable of that. And he said, and from that moment on, they never got another opportunity. And so he was kind of like looking at Ty, and I was like, so, whatever you do, just sing together.
Yeah.
And try your hand at storytelling, because you got a story. He said your story is more country than anything. and that's where we live.
You know what's significant about that? My first ever interview was Barbara Mandrell, and my first ever stage presence was Dottie West.
Oh. Wow. That's awesome.
The War and Treaty in studio at 19 after 9 o'clock, playing the Grand Ole Opry Salute to the Troops.
Oh, yes.
That is tomorrow night. It's our Memorial Day show, if you will, as Memorial Day weekend is coming. Give us just an overview, a backstory, as some people may not know, your working relationship as property of Uncle Sam for a time in your life.
Oh, yeah. I served in the United States Army, and I'm a war veteran. I went to war twice for our country, and it's the best thing I ever done in my life, other than marry my wife.
Oh.
In what way?
Well, I got a chance to understand what serving our country really means. I think everybody should serve at least one time. You know, I got a chance to understand all walks of life. You know, there's all kind of characters in the military, and I got a chance to see what our country could really look like if we accepted each other's walks, and if we looked at our skin as just a uniform, to the human experience. And for me, that is what I learned most from the Army.
Well said.
And those runway lights became the Opry lights, huh?
Man, that was, the floodlights on the Opry stage reminded me of, what I was looking at when I was doing my detail, and I was dreaming, like, man, I wish I could, one day perform on the Opry stage, and I just had so many dreams out there on that runway, and a lot of my battle buddies today, I shared it with them, and just for them to see what's happening, it's emotional for me to read and to get messages, and and shout out for all of my battle buddies and all the battle buddies who we've lost, especially coming up on this Memorial Day.
And we love you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we love you.
Thank you.
Well, the greatest falls of all time on the stage of the Ryman Auditorium. How you coming along with your rehab?
I feel really good to have that accomplishment. It's been the talk of every town that I've gone to.
Well, you went viral.
Yeah, I did.
You did go viral.
It's my second time going viral for a fall. It's really cool.
What was the first one?
I was in a bathing suit outfit thing. I had on swimming trunks, and I was sitting in a hammock.
In Mexico.
And I was trying to see if the hammock was going to hold me.
And I had the camera.
And I was just trying to tell, people that are blessed in weight like me, that we can do all things. It's okay. And I said, we can get in this hammock. See? And it did not fare well for me.
It did not.
Yeah, the hammock snapped, and I told Tanya to cut the camera.
I was trying to coach him through it. I'm like, no, that's not the way. Like, go this. He was like, no, I got it. I was like.
So the next thing that snaps is a performance on the stage of the Ryman Auditorium, and it was your...
Oh, my fibula. And this was super cool because this was an event that the Ryman partnered up with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it was called Rock the Ryman. And I think that out of all the performances they had, Little Big Town that evening, Maddie and Tay, they had Cadillac 3 and
Gavin DeGraw.
But I think that we rocked the Ryman that night. And not by music.
You took it too literal.
It was that. I feel sorry for anyone who came behind us because all people were thinking about was my broken fibula. They were like, that is rock and roll.
Yeah, and you topped it off by hitting your head on the piano.
That's right, man. My mother always said that she believed something was knocked loose, and I just helped her prove the theory. Love you, Mom.
Thanks for listening to the Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a 5-star review. This podcast was produced through the facilities of WSM Radio in Nashville, Tennessee. The hosts of Coffee, Country, and Cody are Bill Cody, Charlie Matos, and Kelly Sutton. Producer, Eric Markham. WSM General Manager and Director of Content and Programming, J. Patrick Tittle. Copyright 2023. Opry Entertainment Group Holdings, LLC.